If the great abyss ever ignites, there won't be time to say poof. Moreover, as documented by following link, nearly all of the world's helium supply is found within a 250 miles radius of Amarillo in Texas. And with Lake Meredith now all but gone, there is no water to pump it. Therefore, the shortage of available helium is so severe that they are now complaining that there is not even enough helium available to fill balloons for New Year's Eve 2008 parades. Well, I made a little thing with that, and I made a on Google Earth. I hope you can see the circle. This point here is the center. This is Amarillo, and this line here is 250 miles long. So I made a circle around it. Down here in this area here contains most of the world's combined helium, and helium can't burn. So we got Dallas lying here, right? What do you think, people, if this ignite will happen? There will be nothing left. It will be a giant sinkhole, which will lead to even more disaster. And when you look at this map again, right? Here we got Texas. Look at all these interconnecting gas reserves there is in the North American continent. Look at that. If this one ignites, containing the largest helium reserve on planet Earth, don't you think it will affect the rest of it? And don't you think it could, I don't say it have, but it could have an effect on Yellowstone. We have earthquakes going on in Yellowstone right now. This one is a little old, but it's still good. This is Yellowstone seismograph. This is a 13-hour non-stop rumble from the caldera in Yellowstone. This is from the 26th of August 2010. And this is not in the caldera itself, but here we got 29 earthquakes recently, actually from the 12th of January 2011, going quite close to Yellowstone Park. I don't know if you understand what it is I'm trying to convey to you. But I don't think, honestly, that the Navy is making this kind of map for the fun of it. And this is Edgar Casey's map of future America. That's how he visioned it. Well, some called him a Freemason and blah blah blah. I don't care. This consists with what he said. This is a 20-year-old map drawn from his sleeping prophecies. And you see here, New Madrid line snapped. And he also said that there will be in another generation. He also said that the East Coast will be more or less submerged. So what I think will happen, and this is just my take on it, the rest I've just told you about is fact, okay? So now here's my take on it. When you look at this thing here, and can you imagine that these gas reserves, by not being replenished with anything because the water is drawn away, right, and it leaves back in vacuum, then we will get the effect like we see especially in the West Tennessee, sinkholes. But we will get sinkholes galore on the North American continent because they're sucking out the gas and they're not putting anything in. And especially not in the Gulf of Mexico, they're putting anything in. But let's go back to this picture here with the salt brine. They drilled down into the salt dome, right? They did that 4 times. They were leasing the Condo surface 252. But they were drilling in Macondo, meaning on the sea floor, in 296. That is the one straight below in the grid in the Mexican Gulf for the oil fields. So they were actually drilling down, but in towards. Can you imagine that? They're going down, but they're actually aiming for the salt dome. And that was the other picture I showed you. So what is happening in the coastal areas of the Gulf of Mexico? That is, there is nothing, as I say, being pumped back in. I have showed you in Seek and You Shall Find that there is absolutely no geological surveys conducted on the drills. There are no mud logs, and that could tell me that there was no mud being pumped in at all. That means that this is flowing and leaving behind a cavity, leaving room for the ocean water to seep in and go underneath. And that will create tremendous pressure. But this is a salt brine. Look how big it is. It is far bigger than the biggest state of United States, meaning Texas. Look how vast it is. So if you look at that picture and imagining that this salt is being washed out by the pressure of the sea because they did this, right? Drilled into the salt dome, and now seawater is washing this solid salt away, right? And if you look at this, you can kind of see there is a correlation between that. When the salt brine is gone, the land will fall because there's nothing underneath to support that multitude of tons and tons and billions of tons of land which is above this salt brine, which is now being washed out, plus the cavity of the oil. It will literally make this area here go like this, oh, split, and it's obvious. It's right there for you. This is what's going on. This is what will happen because of this, and because of all the fracking they're doing up along the new Madrid line. You gotta see that. You really gotta see that. This is the harsh reality. And when you look at this map, right? And up here we have Yellowstone Park sitting on. Come on, can you see it? This is devastating, and they know that, right? I didn't do a chroma key on the shale, but we know they're pumping it up here, the fracking. We know they're doing the fracking here. We also know they're doing the fracking up here. And we know there's a huge gas reserve here too, and they are all interconnected, right? So if this one goes, and these gas pockets, because of the composition of the North American crust, as I read to you, that it is not very solid, right? And in some places it's only 20 feet down, the gas. When this, and if it explodes, it will make Yellowstone go off. I'm pretty sure of that. And this brown area you see here, that will be the ash covering United States. Toxic ash, very toxic. High quantity of metals and sulfur. Nothing living will sustain that. There's no question about that. So I'm not saying that this will happen, but it is a very, very strong possibility that could take place. And to take the raw picture of the Yellowstone, come on, it says there's no example. What is that? Of course there is. It's right there. Okay? And underneath, in all this area here, we have this gas. It's everywhere. It is everywhere. Right? And they're doing this right in front of you when it wants to come up. I don't know why. I'm so tired of this computer. I feel like putting a hammer through it. Come on. But I hope you understand what it is I'm getting at. They know this. They know this stuff. They know what they're doing. And yeah, they are spending a lot of money on a new Madrid fault line disaster. A $3-figure million budget. People, would you accept, if there was no danger of the new Madrid line, would you honestly accept that your government is spending your tax dollars on buying food, blankets, underwater body bags for the fun of it? Don't you think those $3-figure million dollar amount could be used for something for American schools, transportation? I think so. And what is it the communist government is doing to you? What is it they're doing? Let's go up in the top. This is right here. They're crashing your economy. They're bringing drought by pumping away the water. They are blasphemous, right? They're crushing your transportation system too. They're giving you diseases. Famine due to bad economy, right? And drought. Nothing can grow if there's no water, and the water is being pumped away and taking it from you. And it will lead to destruction. So I made a video called The Destruction of America, and it's still my take on it, and I don't know where I get it from, but this is what I see. This is the end result. This will happen, and it will happen in our children's life. It will happen in my present life. And I said the other day that my feeling is around May and June this year, new Madrid line will go off. So when you look at this map, let me zoom in a little, you can see that a lot of America is gone. You can also see that where people need to be and where people do not need to be. It doesn't make me feel too good to look at something like this. That this is something that the Navy knows about. And I also now know that the Navy was in charge of the drilling in the Mexican Gulf. I have showed you the proof of that. So, why are the Navy conducting such a map? And what are they trying to show us? Right? They are showing us what will happen. I live right here. That little speck. That means if I'm still around when this happens, there is a slight chance I will survive, because this is the highest point of Indiana I'm living in right now. But the rest of Indiana is gone. That don't make me feel too good, knowing this. And I know this is man-made disaster. Because of this, and because of all their fracking. They ain't pumping water back in. It's just a vacuum. There's absolutely nothing to support the crust. they're taking the water away. But I actually have another thing too. You know they're putting down the Corexit, right? In the Gulf of Mexico. And they say Corexit is not toxic. But this is how they are handling the Corexit before they put it on board the planes, right? So don't worry about it. Corexit is okay. It's just dissolving the oil and make it easier to clean up and make it go away and stuff like that. But nevertheless, the workers pumping it into the airplane is in high protection gear. Isn't that insane? And that stuff they're pumping directly into the ocean. And we know this is an old picture. They started out by clearing the surface so it didn't look so bad for you people. That millions and millions of gallons of crude oil is pumping out non-stop, and it's still pumping out. Trust me on that. But now, as I also showed you, that they are actually now not spraying it on the surface. They found another technique, and that is they're pumping it directly towards the gushers in the Gulf of Mexico on the seafloor. I showed you that, and you can go on Christina Garrett's page and see some of the Corexit operations they have done. And you can also go on Mr. Glasgow Truther. You can also go to Arabella 33 and of course BP Oil Disaster, and you can go there and look for yourself and see how they're pumping in this Corexit. But this Corexit is mixed with antifreeze, and that is strange. Why on earth would they want to use antifreeze? Because antifreeze and oil do not mix. The petroleum product Corexit does mix with the oil and dilute it. That's true, and it will sink it into the seafloor. But the antifreeze do not mix with the oil. So what is the antifreeze for? What effect will that have at all on this oil gusher and the environment in the Mexican Gulf? I told you that an area of over 50,000 square miles is dead now. That is 6 months ago I told you that, and that was an area the size of basically entire California, which is now dead, and there will never be life there again. And that means your fishing industry in the Gulf of Mexico is permanently terminated. It will never come back. And when the new Madrid line snaps, it will be quite obvious that there will be nothing left at all. So what I did, and I want to show you that, let me go down here and see if I can do that. You go down here on this piece of paper, right? Here. Just hope I'm not too close. This is oil. Normal engine oil. You can see the consistency of it. Believe me, this is engine oil. This is for my car. This is the only amount of oil I have. Okay? But this is engine oil. TW 30W. And here we got, as you see, right? Antifreeze, right? So let's zoom down here again. Let me show you this. Let me pour this into there. Do you see what happened there? Because I do. Can you see it? The oil and the antifreeze are not mixing. Do you see that? Let me stir it around a little. You see that? They're pumping antifreeze into the Gulf of Mexico and making us believe that it is good for cleaning up the oil, to dilute the oil. But you clearly see there that the antifreeze is not mixing with the oil. So what is the reason for using the antifreeze? Well, this is my theory on it. You do know they are so keen on selling us the carbon tax. They really want to bring us down to our knees with their communist plan. Let me show you something here. Go back up here. Right. In this area. Okay. Sorry, this is a very long one, but this is very important. Okay. Let's use the Edgar Cayce map. You see, if the end result of the flooding of North America, the new Madrid line snaps, you can clearly see here what that will lead to. All these millions and millions and millions upon millions of gallons of antifreeze they are putting into the Gulf of Mexico. When the new Madrid land snaps, there will be created a giant vacuum. This body of water here will be sucked in, right? And it will connect with these lakes. And this is actually the old existing New Madrid fault line. It is actually going like this. So what does that lead me to think? That is, when it comes up out here, it is all the way up by Newfoundland, all the way up by Nova Scotia. And what do we have up there? We have the North Pole. And when you look at this, right, you see it doesn't mix, but antifreeze mixed with water. What effect do you get then? You get a de-icing of the North Cap. And by proving that the ice is disappearing to the sheep, people will believe that we are the cause of global warming, which is a hoax. I got all the emails the Russians cracked in their code, and there is absolutely evidence of that they have manipulated the numbers. Those two Russians need a medal. They are heroes. They blew their cover. So when you look at this, right, that could make me think what they're trying to do is they want to de-ice the North Cap. Make sure when this stuff is going up there, being sucked up there, that the North Cap cannot freeze over again, or for a period of time, until the antifreeze is diluted enough in the water to not having an effect on the freezing. But it will be time enough for them to sell the carbon tax and ruin and destroy your entire life, because you will not be able to afford to put gas in your car when the carbon tax comes, and it will come. They will make it. New world order will commence, but they will lose, we know that. So, look at this. Does it mix? No. Why are they pumping antifreeze into the Gulf of Mexico? They want to melt the ice on the North Cap. And I actually got another thing very shortly. You know, I've showed you that globe of the earthquakes, right? Oh, there she is again. So let me put that one up just shortly. Come on, machine. Gosh! Faster! Much faster! Don't got time for this. Oh, where did it go? That's weird. Where is it? 2 seconds. Well, I couldn't make my real-time work and show you the present earthquakes, but it's very, very active in the Pacific and the Indian Ocean again today, and also up in California. But what I wanted to show you here is I believe, and as we saw in the movie 2012, that the magma was intensifying the heat, and that will lead to the crustal displacement. I believe, and this is just my take on it, that they are using CERN to heat up inside Earth. Make sure that the temperature rises and rises and rises, but they're shooting this beam, this electromagnetic cannon, which it is. It is not a particle accelerator. That is bullshit. They got plenty of those on planet Earth, so bullshit. This is an electromagnetic cannon. I believe they can use this to heat up the Earth magma. We remember that the webbot said that there will be a problem with the core of the planet. I think CERN is the culprit here. And I think they might be shooting a beam through the crust and through the Earth mantle and hitting the Pacific plate over here, as you see. Because I checked on the map, it kind of looked like that these earthquakes are in a direct line right through planet Earth. So this is why these things are happening over there now. And this is what they want, because the Indian plate is that plate that locks all the other tectonic plates into place. When the Indian plate goes down, all the other plates will be released, and we will get crustal displacement, meaning pole shift. So if you go watch the movie again 2012 and really look closely on what they're showing you, they are exactly showing you what is taking place. And I think it's man-made. That's all I have to say.